Going over the next question, question number 4, find out the equation of the line drawn below. This could look quite daunting because you've just given a graph and you sort of need to make sense of it. Now, the question says, find out the equation of the line. So obviously you can see this is quite messy, but that's because this stand is in the way. So just empathize on that end. So it looks like in your label graph, let's label that. So you got the equation of the line, y equals mx plus c. It's asking you to find out the equation of the line. So we don't know our m and we don't know our c. How do you find out these things? Let's start off with something quite straightforward. Okay, c. If we start off with c, what is the c? The c is what? The y-intercept. What does that mean when the line hits the y-axis? Now, by looking at this, we can actually tell where the line hits the y-intercept. Sorry, where the line hits the y-axis. The line hits the y-axis at 4. So what does that mean? C is equal to 4. So let's fill that out back again. 0 sub y is equal to mx plus 4. Cool. Now we're only left with the gradient. How do you find the gradient of any line? Okay. What's the gradient formula? Gradient formula is rise over run. Okay. You need, I wrote run, but you need 2 points. What are points? 2 coordinates. Okay. So we know that's a particular coordinate. We know the exact values. Do we know another point on this graph that you can see? You can use any particular point, but it has to be an exact point. Yes, I found one there. What's that point? That point there is -2, 1. Here is 0, 4. So as you can see, I've actually labeled the coordinates. So you've got -2, 1. So rise over run. How many units are you rising to get from 1 to 4? Okay, 1 to 4, you're rising 1, 2, 3. How many units are you running from -2 to get to 0? -1, -2. So your gradient is going to be -3 over 2. Sorry, not -3 over 2. I've just mistaken that as a negative sign, but that's actually an equal sign. The answer is going to be 3 over 2. Okay, how do we make sure that's the right answer? Okay, we know that there's a formula for the gradient. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We need 2 coordinates. So what are the coordinates that we're going to use? -2, 1, and then we've got 0, 4. Let's label these coordinates, x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, now let's substitute it into the formula. So what's the formula? y2 minus y1. What's our y2? 4. What's our y1? 1. x2 is 0. x1 is -2. So x2 minus x1. 0 minus -2. Got to be very careful with that. 4 take away 1 is 3. 0 minus -2, that's going to turn into a positive. 2 of the same i's, you're going to be happy. So it's going to be 3 over 2. So your m is equal to 3 over 2. So now let's substitute it back into the equation of line. Y equals mx plus c. Y is equal to 3 over 2x. And our c was the y-intercept, which is 4. So that's the equation of the line. Okay, so that's how you get to that answer. How do we go about it? Let's look back on the question and how we journeyed our way through. Question says find the equation of the line. So the first thing I did was I wrote the equation of the line, the general equation of the line. Then I've labeled it. What do I need to find out the equation of the line? You need to find out your m, which is your gradient. You need to find out c, which is y-intercept. Now by looking at the graph, you can see what the y-intercept is. So that was the first thing I filled out. The second thing I did was, okay, the only thing I need to find out now is the gradient. Make sense of what the gradient is. It's the slope, the rate, basically the rise over run, okay? The gradient. So here, how much is it rising from this point to this point? Just counting the units, 3, and it's running by 2, 3 over 2. If you want to double check your answer, you can also use the formula. And this is how you work it out algebraically, okay? So you're going to do that formula, and then after writing the formula, you're going to substitute the values in, and then you get 3 over 2. Once I found the gradient, once I know the y-intercept, I put it back into this equation of the line, because that's what the question's asking. So always go back to what the question's asking.